No one noticed when the light began to fade. He still went to school, still answered when spoken to, still laughed at the right moments. But every night, when the world grew quiet, he lay awake with a heaviness he could not name. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't weak. He was tired of fighting thoughts that told him he didn't belong anywhere. And while everyone assumed he was just going through a phase, God was already closer than his breath, waiting for him to realize he was never alone in the dark. The loneliness no one talks about teenage depression does not always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like isolation disguised as independence. Sometimes it looks like a young person who feels old inside. He felt disconnected from friends, from joy, from himself. The world felt loud, but his heart felt empty. He strolled through lives that looked happier than his own and wondered what was wrong with him. He did not lack gratitude. He lacked hope, and that absence weighed on him like a secret no one could. See, Dodd, when sadness becomes identity at first, it was just sadness, a bad week, a heavy mood, a lack of motivation. But slowly, quietly, it settled deeper. Sadness became a lens through which he saw everything. Failures felt permanent. Mistakes felt defining. The future felt unreachable. He didn't just feel depressed. He began to believe he was depression, and that belief was the most dangerous part. The lies that whisper in the dark depression has a voice. It speaks softly but persistently. You're a burden. No one really understands you. Things won't get better. God helps others, not you. These thoughts did not shout. They whispered, and whispers are harder to fight. He prayed, but felt nothing. He read words of hope, but they felt distant. And the silence made him wonder if God had turned away. Faith when you feel nothing, no one told him. That faith does not always feel strong. Sometimes faith is simply staying alive when giving up feels easier. Sometimes faith is whispering, God, I don't feel you, but I need you. He believed that. Real believers were joyful. That doubt meant failure. That darkness meant distance from God. But Scripture tells a different story. God has always met people in caves, in storms, in valleys. Never once did he demand emotional perfection. The pressure of being young, he felt guilty for feeling this way. After all, his life wasn't that bad. He had food, education, opportunity. So why did he feel broken? This guilt deepened the depression. Because he wasn't just sad, he was ashamed of being sad. But pain does not compare itself, and God does not minimize suffering based on age. The night everything felt too heavy, there was a night when the weight became unbearable. Not dramatic, not loud, just heavy. He sat alone, overwhelmed by thoughts he didn't choose and emotions he couldn't control. And for the first time, he prayed honestly, not with faith-filled words, but with exhaustion. God, if you are there, please, help me. God's silence was not absent. Nothing changed instantly, but something shifted. Not outside, inside, a quiet realization began to form. God had not been waiting for him to feel better. God had been present within the pain. The silence he feared was not rejection. It was companionship. Light does not always arrive. Suddenly God did not remove the darkness overnight. Instead, he introduced light slowly, through one person who listened, through one moment of peace, through one verse that felt written just for him. Healing came like dawn, almost unnoticed at first, but persistent. Relearning who God is depression had distorted his view of God. He saw God as distant, demanding, disappointed, but slowly he began to see God differently, not as a taskmaster, but as a father who sat beside him in the dark. God was not angry with his weakness. God was gentle with it. When faith became a lifeline, faith stopped being about answers. It became about presence. He still had bad days, still struggled, still questioned, but now he knew he was held even when he felt hollow, and that knowledge saved him. The courage to ask for help. One of the greatest miracles was not supernatural, it was human. He learned to speak, to ask, to be honest. God often heals through people, and accepting help was not weakness, it was wisdom. Understanding that depression is not sin, he learned something crucial. Depression is not a moral failure. Struggle is not disobedience. Needing help is not lack of faith. God never shamed him for his pain. God stayed a new way of seeing himself. Depression told him he was broken. God told him he was becoming. He was not damaged beyond repair. He was not a mistake. He was a soul in formation, light that coexists with darkness. Joy did not replace sadness, hope did not erase struggle, but light entered the darkness and refused to leave, and that was enough. The faith of small steps. Some days, faith was getting out of bed. Some days, faith was breathing. Some days, faith was simply not giving up. God honored every small step. What he would tell other teens, he would say this: you are not weak. You are not alone. You are not invisible to God. Your pain does not disqualify you from faith. It invites God closer. The truth depression cannot touch. Depression can affect feelings. It can cloud thoughts. It can slow the body, but it cannot erase truth. And the truth is this: you are seen. You are loved. You are worth staying for. The ending that is still beginning. He did not become perfect. He became honest, and that honesty opened the door for God's light to remain. The darkness did not win, because it never had the final word. Final reflection: if you are a teen fighting depression, God is not waiting for you to be strong. God is already with you in the room, in the silence, in the struggle. And even if all you can do today is survive, that is faith enough.